All right, it's another edition of the Loaded Radio podcast, and hey, it is Scott Penfold here with you for another week, and this week I'm going to be talking to the one and only Johnny Kelly. He was the drummer for Typo Negative, and then as well, he's played with tons of bands, man. He's played with Pale Horse Named Death, he's played with the Black Label Society, he's currently playing with Devil Hill and Quiet Riot. He's a busy player, and can't wait to talk to Johnny. Got so much to ask him, so that'll be coming up in just a few, and then as well, we're going to be talking to Loaded Radio's own Johnny Root, as usual, as he joins us for the second portion of the podcast, live from Las Vegas, where we get caught up in the week that was in hard rock and metal. So by all means, stick around for that after we talk to this gentleman here. Yes, he was the drummer for Typo Negative, joining the band for their October Rust album after Sal Abascato walked away from the act. As I mentioned, he's currently playing with Quiet Riot and Devil Hill, and of course, we're going to be talking about Typo Negative. I'm talking, of course, about this guy, Johnny Kelly. Johnny, thanks so much for joining us on the Loaded Radio podcast today.
I showered for this.
You dude, I really appreciate that so much. That's great.
And I shaved.
You're definitely, I think, one of the busiest drummers in music right now, man.
You know what? On paper, it seems that way, but really, to me, it doesn't seem that busy.
No, really.
It really doesn't. It's like, like when I'm home, to me, that indicates that I'm not really busy. And I've been home quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I played on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
With Quiet Riot. That was the last show I did it. And then before that, there was only one other gig in December. Really? And that was at the beginning of the month. Yeah.
Well, I know that Quiet Riot, you guys just announced a tour this morning, which is great news.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be a pretty busy 2022. See, now that's busy. That's good.
Yeah, knock on wood, right?
I've really got my fingers crossed that nothing gets canceled.
Yeah, I know. Well,
we've had a lot of that.
It's really taken such a toll, I think, on the music industry, and just with everyone I've talked to, all the interviews I've done, it's really taken its toll, and I really want nothing more than a return to normalcy in music. I find it so important.
To me, it's not just music. I just love it to be a little bit normal again.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But getting back to what you're into, though, we'll get back to Quiet Riot. I want to talk about you and Dan Lorenzo. I've got Patriarchs in Black going on. How did that come about?
Really, it started out innocently enough. Dan and I have known each other for quite a while. We have Steve Zing as a mutual friend. And so Dan would always touch base and let me know what was going on with his magazine and stuff, or the bands that he was working with, like Cassius King and Vessel of Light. And, and it was just just a casual, friendship, nothing out of the ordinary. And in the fall, he reached out to me about having some songs that he wrote, and he wanted me to work with him on them. So he sent me a song, and I put some drums to it and stuff, and he liked it. And he was, it just went from there. He was like, well, he's like, we could probably get a label to put this out. Who could we do? Who could be the singer for it? Blah, blah, and that sort of stuff. And then I was definitely apprehensive. I was like, look, I don't want to be in another band. I have a lot of that. I'm in a lot of bands.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I was like, but if you want to get together and just work on songs and stuff like that, I was like, that'd be great. And I said, I had made this suggestion when he was bringing up other players and stuff. I had suggested, being that there wasn't any kind of obligation or agenda or timeline and there wasn't any obligation. We weren't racing against the clock in any sort of way.
Sure.
I said, why don't we just, ask different people to play on it? Kind of like what Dave Grohl did with Probot.
Yeah, definitely. Right.
So instead of it just being the drummer, like Dave Grohl was, where I think he played all the instruments. I was like, I guess the common denominators would be Dan and myself. And then we just reach out to different people, different friends and stuff, people that I wouldn't normally get an opportunity to play with, and then also to reconnect with some people that I have played with. I just got Eric Morgan involved. Eric and I played together in A Pale Horse Named Death.
Right.
And, even though we're not playing in Pale Horse anymore, we still stay in touch all the time. We're still very good friends. So Dan was like, who could we get to play bass? It was like a couple of songs or whatever. And I was like, Eric. I was like, Eric's the guy. He was suggesting some other people and stuff. I was like, no. I was like, Eric is the perfect bass player for this. I was like, he would totally crush it. He wound up doing exactly as I promised to Dan. And so from there, now Dan's sending him, he's telling me, send him this song, send him this song, send him.
Right.
So really that's how it started. And then he was able to get Carl to sing on Demon of Regret, which I never met Carl. So I didn't, I knew of him. I didn't know him personally. I had no way of reaching out to him and stuff.
Sure.
But Dan had come up with that suggestion. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, Carl's killer. And he did a great job. And so now he's going to be doing more songs. So yeah, that's really where it was at. And then the first song that we did, I think we did a cover of Snowblind from Black Sabbath.
Yeah. Nice.
And Dan was able to get Rob Dukes, who was in Exodus. Yep. At one point, he was like, Rob Dukes is going to sing on. And I was like, well, I know of Rob. I know what his voice sounds like. I didn't know him personally, but I was like, all right, cool. And I sent him my drum tracks, right? Because I'm living in Texas. Dan's living in New Jersey. Yeah. I sent him the drum tracks. And then like not even a week later, he's like, yeah, it's going to be on Sirius next week. I was like, wait, what? I'm saying to myself, I'm like, next week? I was like, I literally just sent the drum tracks. How could this all be happening so quickly? And then he was telling me, he's like, yeah, there's this company overseas, MVD, they're really interested in putting the record out, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, really? And then it just went from there. It was like, I've never been involved in anything that moves so quickly.
It's amazing what you can do in the modern age, right? It's so crazy.
I was surprised by all of it. Pleasantly surprised, but I was like, I just never, through all the years, with Typo and even with Danzig and Silvertomb and Seven Void, everything was always a couple of years, and that's moving quickly. Yeah. And now it's it went from seriously, I probably exaggerating in terms of it actually happened faster. If I said that it really took 2 weeks between when I sent my drum tracks to when I heard it on the radio.
Wow.
That's never happened.
Yeah, that is fast. Even some of your other stuff though. Who gave you the call, or who reached out to you about joining Kill Devil Hill?
Rex.
Oh, Rex did?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Rex was still with the band at the time, obviously at the time.
Yeah. I had, I was on tour with Danzig. Yeah. And Kill Devil Hill was on tour, and they were using Dime's bus. Okay. Right. So this will make sense in a second. So we would drive. Danzig was driving from El Paso to San Francisco, and the only way to do it is the fastest way to do it is to kind of drive through L.A. and then go north. So we broke the drive up and stopped in L.A. for a night. And I stepped off the bus at the hotel, and I see Dime's bus. I was like, I know whose bus that is. So I went and knocked on the door, and it was Kill Devil Hill on the bus. It was Rex. Wow. And Rex and Vinny were on the bus. And so I got to meet Vinny. I had never met him before, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And after their tour finished, Rex called me up, and he was like, hey, Vinny's leaving the band. Do you want to come down? And so I went back out to California. This was I don't know, maybe a month later. Yeah. Something like that, a month after the tour. And I went down there. I went down to California, auditioned for the band, and they offered me the position. And that was it. And then we did a little bit of touring, and then Rex left the band. And then Rex was doing his own thing. And then I was playing with him a little bit when he was doing his own thing.
So why did Rex leave though?
He just wasn't into it anymore. It was, that was it. Yeah. He wanted to do something. He wanted to do something different. He was gotcha. More or less trying to do something, I guess, more on his own, and, something to have his own identity instead of like, the being, which he'll always be, he'll always be Rex from Pantera.
Yeah.
And there's that certain expectation on whatever he does musically is expected to be part of that DNA, that Pantera DNA.
Of course.
And he wants to do something different. He's more into like songwriting and, different songwriting, more like, more along the lines of like, like Tom Petty and, things like that.
Yeah.
And so then he did his own record. He was working in Nashville and stuff. And then he was putting a live band together. And then he called me up and I went out to Nashville with them a couple of times. We did a bunch of rehearsing, shot a video, shot 2 videos. And we did we did a show. We played at NAMM. And then he's been working on other material. He doesn't really have a live band anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
At least not right now. Like,
right.
But and then from there, like, fast forward, I get a call from Zavon saying, we're going to do, some stuff with, Kill Devil Hill, blah, blah, blah. We're going to, work on some new music, this and that. And that's how that picked up again. But Rex wasn't in it. Now we have Matt Snell, who is in Five Finger Death Punch.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Is he a cool guy?
Yeah. He's really cool. He's really funny. He's got a great wit. A great bass player too. Fit in, and that record is, I believe, that record is done.
Oh, cool, man! That's cool. Definitely cool news.
I know that. Well, the drums. We did the drums last year, and the drums are done. I know that the bass was done. The vocals are done. I think there was a couple of guitar solos that had to be finished. Yeah. Mark had surgery on his hand, so that set him back with doing his tracks for a little while. But I think now we're just waiting for the mix.
That's excellent.
That record's coming out this year also.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a really busy year for music, man, all around. And I think it's awesome.
It is. It's exciting in that way. At the same time, too, it's kind of a little unnerving because, like, if you're a fan, like all these bands are going to be coming through town. It's like, I want to go see this band. I'm going to go see that band. I'm going to see that. And I know what it's like to be an adult. You can't go everywhere.
No, I know.
You can't go to every show all week.
I totally hear you, man. Before we get into Riot, I definitely wanted to ask you about this because it's one of my favorite bands of all time. Are you still surprised by the continued outpouring of support for Typo Negative?
Every day.
Really, eh?
Yeah. It really is baffling. Like, I'm not really into, I do have a certain sentimentality towards a lot of things. And like, for instance, yesterday was my daughter's birthday. She turned 21. And I'm like, where did the time go? I was like, Jesus, she's already 21 years old.
Right.
And the same thing, like next year, it will have been 30 years since I joined Typo Negative.
Wow.
And if you would have told me, like, like back then, like when I joined the band and you would have said, you know what, 30 years from now, people are still going to be talking about the band. I wouldn't have believed it for a second.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I really had no idea. And then, we were able to make a niche for ourselves and, like we had a cool career and it was interesting and we were able to do it for a long time. And, creatively we stayed at we didn't really dip down to a level where it was, like we were just like phoning it in, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like right up to the last record, I thought the last record was really solid, especially for a band that had been around for so long. Like I think of like a lot of like the other heritage bands that are out now. And they're like, most of the time it's really just it's just a vehicle just to get back out on tour and, make your money touring and stuff.
Of course.
Like we weren't like that. We were still putting the same effort in that we did from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So then after that, the band was active and, for a long time. And then we always thought that it was never going to last. Like every time a tour ended, we're like, well, I guess that's it. I'll go find a job. And
really?
Move on, Yeah. Cause like you never really expected it to have the legs that it did.
So did Peter feel that way too?
Yeah, everybody did. We always, like, the minute the bus stopped, we were like, well, I guess that's it.
Really?
What are we going to do now? I mean, there was a couple of years where we knew that with, like, like we had a record contract and stuff. We were like, well, we know we're at least making another record.
Right. Yeah. I get you, man. But it's funny because it's such an iconic band and reached such an iconic status today. And
it's gotten to that point. It's crazy. And it was, like, even so, like Peter had gotten to a point with when he was still alive, we were like, well, he's not dead yet.
Yeah.
Because he was doing things like, for years that should have killed him and it didn't.
Right.
And we were like, well, we got past it because now he's sober. Like, he was sober. He had a good amount of sobriety under his belt at the point when he passed away.
Right.
And like he was when you talk to him, he actually had, like, optimism and stuff like that. And it was pretty weird. Like, for knowing somebody as long as I did. Yeah. And now you hear him, like, talk about, like, the future and, like, looking forward to it and stuff. This wasn't the same Peter that I had been, living with for, as long as I did.
Certainly.
And so he had gotten to that point. It was like, well, if that didn't kill him, this band's going to live forever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
We were like, now it's not going anywhere. It won't go anywhere. And then he passed away, and it was like, all right, well, I guess that's it now. Like, that's that's going to seal it. And then we figured, I shouldn't say we, at least I felt that way, that, like, like once Peter died, I was like, that's it. The band will just fade off into the sunset. And it was a moment, and, and we had a fan base, and it was like, just one of those things that stayed in the past.
Right.
And it doesn't seem that it has.
No way.
Yeah. And so I'm just as surprised as anybody else.
Has there ever been talk of maybe some kind of a reunion in Peter's honor with maybe multiple front people or some one person or even like a concert, anything?
We would like,
it would be huge.
Yeah. Like, like coffee, like coffee talk.
Yeah,
exactly. There was never any, like, like serious consideration or, we're like, well, like, should we do something? Or, like, is there,
I think that would be massive, man.
Is there even a point of doing it? Or, like, is it, or, like, also, is it like just a blatant cash grab, or,
right.
Like, and so, like, all these things go through your head, and it's like, people celebrate them all the time. They do it daily. I see it online all the time. And, like, the impact that he had, I don't know, maybe somewhere down the road, there may be something that's, I don't know, but I know that for me, it would have to include Kenny and Josh as well.
Of course. Absolutely.
Like anything that we do, like, it would have to be the three of us. And there's no way you're getting Josh to do anything like that.
Well, say for example, say what if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame did come calling one day and you guys were set to perform? Who would stand up there for Peter?
Oh, I don't know. I'd want a girl to do it. I want a female.
Very cool.
I'd want a female vocalist, like, like Ann Wilson or something like that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. But, like, just even so, like, that's like the first thing, like, when you think about, like, doing some kind of, like, tribute show, like, you're just going to get all these people. Like, yes, Peter was very, like, highly regarded by our peers and stuff like that. And you just get a bunch of dudes up there just trying to sound like Peter. And you can't do that. And it's like, all right, so, like, what's, like, the most remote thing from Peter? You'd have to do something completely abstract. And I would say, get a female vocalist. I think Peter would get a kick out of, like, he would get off on seeing a girl sing his songs, like seeing a female sing them.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
And it would really stress the point of doing something as a tribute instead of trying to recreate something.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. Yeah. Getting into Quiet Riot now, after Frankie passing away, obviously Rudy back in the band now too. Who gave you that call to join that band?
I got the call from Alex. Well, I've been playing with Alex and Hookers and Blow for years.
Oh yeah. Wait, Alex Rossi, right.
Yeah. So, like, when Frankie got diagnosed with cancer and stuff, and, like, they were in, nobody really knew what was going to go on. And
right.
Like, but they had shows booked. And the first show there was a show that Frankie was scheduled to do. Well, the band, Quiet Riot, was playing the show in Dallas.
Yeah.
And so I knew that Frankie was sick and that, like, he wasn't going to be 100%.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to Alex, like, he's really going to do the show. He's like, yeah. I was like, wow, fucking kudos to him. Yeah, this guy's determined. And I was like, I was like, how about? I was like, if he wants, I was like, tell Frankie, I'm going to be at the show anyway. I'm going to come see you guys. I'll be there. I was like, does Frankie want me to help him out with anything so that he'll have his energy just for the performance? Because we knew he was going through chemo, and he had just started chemo treatments, right. And that kicks the shit out of you.
Yeah.
So I was like, I said I could be there with him, to help him out, help him set up, help him get his gear, whatever he needs to do so that he doesn't need to worry about anything except for just playing, and he just save his energy for playing.
Right.
And Alex was like, oh, that's a good idea. He's like, I'll ask him and I'll let you know. And I was like, all right, cool. And so he got back to me. He was like, yeah, he's like, Frankie would appreciate it. I was like, all right, no problem. I was in New York before that, and I had said something to Alex in passing, really not expecting anything of it because I could never imagine the situation coming up. Mm-hmm. But I was just offering. I was like, look, if there's ever, a situation where Frankie's in a pinch and he can't play or something, I was like, I'll help you out. I'll do it. I'll step in and help however I can. I was really just looking to help. And 2 days before that show, Alex calls me. He's like, Frankie's not going to go to Dallas. He was like, can you do the show? I was like, seriously? He was like, yeah. And I was like, all right. I was like, send me a set list. Mm-hmm. So he sends me the set list. I buy the records on iTunes, and I'm listening to them on the plane as I'm flying home, mm-hmm. trying to figure out the live performance, because they have the way the songs will start live and the way they end live and the segues going into each other and stuff. Mm-hmm. And some of the set I was familiar with from, being a Quiet Riot fan when Mental Health came out. And some of it I had no idea. Oh, shit, how does this song go? But I was like, I remember it sort of. And so then the day of the show comes, and I drive to the venue, and I get to the trailer, and I've met Chuck and Durbin was singing at the time. I've only met them maybe once or twice before this. Right. So they know who I am, but they don't know me. I walk into the trailer. I'm like, guys, this was a terrible idea. This was, I don't know what I was thinking when I said, yes, I'd help you out. I was like, but nothing good is going to come from this. And Chuck is just like, what? He just starts having a meltdown. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, put your crash helmets on, and we're going to go for it and hope for the best. We got through the show, which was incredible. I couldn't believe it. There wasn't yes, there was tons of mistakes, but there wasn't any real serious train wrecks or anything.
Oh, well, that's good.
We got to the end and lived to talk about it.
Of course.
So I was like, all right, phew, good. We got through that. All right, great. Good luck, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Yeah. And then after that, Alex was asking me about, can you cover this show? Frankie was going to be in for treatment on certain weekends or whatever, and he wasn't going to be able to travel. And it really was just happening that way, where it was just I was just kind of on standby. If Frankie was feeling up to it, he would play. If he's not, if he's not going to be there, if it requires a lot of traveling or whatever, can you do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, whatever I have available, whatever time I have, because I had some other stuff, other commitments that I had to take care of. Sure. And I was like, whatever, anything else you need from me, I was like, just let me know. And then when it was getting towards the end for Frankie, and he was setting things up to move forward with the band after he passed away, and he wanted me to continue in Quiet Riot for him. I was like, wow. I was like, and now that changes everything about what I've been doing, helping them out. It just was like, all right, I'm just covering, whatever, it's cool, it's fun. But, I don't have the weight of the band's legacy on my shoulders.
Right, right.
It's just I'm just helping them, get by until Frankie comes back. And then it all changed when Frankie was, he he was on his, he was about to pass away, and he was setting the band up, moving, to go ahead. And then he wanted me to, to do that for him.
That's really cool.
Now, it is cool. And then it added, it changed everything. It changed the whole perspective of how I looked at what I was doing.
Yeah. Johnny, you're the best, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I really, I can't thank you enough. This is going to be great to
I appreciate it, Scott.
I'll see you on the road really soon, hopefully. Okay.
I hope so.
Okay. All the best, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And there he is. That's Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative, Kill Devil Hill, Quiet Riot, of course, as you heard. And great talking to Johnny, man. Cannot wait to talk to him again. He's just an absolutely great guy. But hey, I'm Scott Penfold, and we are now going to be joined by Loaded Radio's own Johnny Rude. He is joining us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. And we're going to talk about the week that was, or just really what's going on in hard rock and metal. Right, John?
Is that better? Hello.
There we go. So, what's happening with you? What are you up to today?
I'm going to be watching the football, Scott. It starts at an hour and a half.
Yeah, I know that football is obviously getting to be a big thing in Vegas with the addition of the stadium and the team and so on. But I mean, I know we're getting off the topic of metal and stuff, but is there still talk about an MLB team getting set up down there as well?
100%. Just very quickly, we started with hockey. We got the Vegas Golden Knights, who went to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year, and every year since then they're kicking ass. Yeah. And then we have a AAA baseball team here called the Las Vegas Aviators, and they built a brand new AAA stadium. This is the farm team for the Oakland A's, and I've been there, and it's up in Summerlin. It's killer too. And then we got the Raiders, and we built Allegiant Stadium, and they build stuff here. Most places would take 5-6 years to build stuff. They built this thing in a couple of years.
I know. It was crazy. I don't think they had even started the last time I was in Vegas. And now it's a full functioning. It's awesome.
Buddy, it's state of the art. It's the best stadium in the league because it's brand new. It's got all the bells and whistles. And they've already put concerts in there. I saw GNR there. It's killer. It's killer.
Metallica's playing there.
That's right. They come up in the next couple of weeks, I think, mid-February.
Yeah, with Greta Van Fleet and Ice Nine Kills opening for them. So that's going to be a great show.
Yeah, that'll be pretty big. I can see the COVID in the air. No. Right. Yeah, but they and that stadium did it right. When the football got announced this year, you had to be fully vaxxed and all that stuff, or you couldn't get in. That's the deal. Even for concerts, that's the law of that stadium. Where you go to T-Mobile, where we have state-of-the-art arena for hockey, all they were requiring was masking. And I've seen a couple of games this year, and not a lot of masking going on.
No,
it's a hot spot in there too. So it just goes to show you how things work. But anyways, off that, now you're asking me about an MLB team. Well, they've been talking, and I've known this again for a few years. Little Bird told me some stuff that we were getting a baseball team, as I knew we were getting a hockey team and a football team years ago. Yeah. So what has happened in Oakland? It's an armpit. It's the stadium's dilapidated. The area's junk. That's why the Raiders left there and came here. Yeah. And the Oakland A's, they've been there for years. It's just it's not a good place to be. Yeah. So they actually have had meetings here, and they've put 3 offers in for 3 locations to build a stadium and bring the Oakland A's to Las Vegas, and hence they'd be the Las Vegas A's, the Las Vegas Athletics. That's what that stands for. Right. So check out some of the locations here, buddy. They have where the baseball stadium is now. There's a lot of land up there. It's up by Red Rock, right? It's right across the street from Red Rock Casino, and that's where the hockey stadium, or the hockey arena, that's where they practice. It's called National something Arena. That's where the Knights practice up there. Right. So they've got land, and they said they could build a baseball stadium up there. The second one, I'm pretty sure it's the Cashman Field, and that's where we used to have the 51s. It was the AAA farm team. Believe it or not, that was the Blue Jays farm team about 10 years ago.
Right. Okay.
So that's another location, but it's down at the bottom of the Las Vegas Boulevard and
down like South Point area, like down there.
No, the other way.
All right, okay, downtown.
Downtown, and it's not nice down there. But they're trying to reinvent that whole area.
Yeah.
And initially, that's where they were talking about the football stadium, but NFL wouldn't have it. They said, we don't want to be down here.
No.
So they're up by Mandalay Bay. As soon as you come in, you fly in off the airport, you come in from California, the first thing you see is Allegiant Stadium. We had Cashman Field, which was down east, northeast. It's just not nice down there. But they play soccer. They have the Las Vegas Lights, and they have a soccer team that uses that stadium. So sort of defunct, but not really. Now, here's the kind of caveat, the kicker to me is amazing. They put an offer in where the Tropicana is, right on the Strip.
Oh, wow. Really? That's a great location.
And that's one of the oldest casinos on the Strip.
It is.
And they've put an offer in, and the people who own the Trop, the company, said they would knock this thing down and put a baseball stadium there. There's a lot of land, and it's a weird one. But the thing is, I think that's amazing personally, because you're going to have Allegiant Stadium 4 minutes away. You've got T-Mobile Arena just 2 minutes away. Then you'd have the Trop, or you'd have the Major League Baseball stadium right there, all in the same area. It's amazing, but the traffic nightmare would be horrendous.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do to the Las Vegas Strip. You can't knock down the Luxor and all these other places, Excalibur, etc. But is it easy to get to? Absolutely. The airport's right there. You could basically hop off your plane and walk over. Same with driving in. You don't have to get stuck all in the downtown core. You just kind of cruise in there. They have talked about behind it, reimagining some of the reimagining some of the roadways to get in and out. But the Strip itself, Las Vegas Boulevard, you can't do anything with that. Now they are close, but what Oakland is trying to do, they've got a new master plan of bringing it down by the bay, and they're saying they want to build this whole stadium, condo area, parks and dog walks and all this stuff, but it's billions of dollars. Yeah. And what it would cost here, I think, is $1 billion. That's I think the number I've heard. So yeah, potentially, I have a feeling they will be coming here. It's just picking one of the right locations to establish this team, man. But that's all we need. And then we'll get an NBA team, and we've already got the WNBA here. We're doing the Grammy Awards here too, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I heard that too. It looks like this whole thing going on with Spotify right now. Ricky Rocket has actually chimed in on it as Poison drummer Ricky Rocket has sided with Neil Young after Neil demanded that his catalog be removed from Spotify in response to, fake information about vaccines being spread on the Joe Rogan podcast, which Spotify carries. So Spotify then removed, of course, Neil Young's music, and now Joni Mitchell has followed. And at this point, John, before we get back to Ricky Rocket, Spotify has dropped 25% so far in 2022. That's Spotify stock. But in altogether, since for the last year, they've dropped 45% in value in the last year. So, but just in 2022, they've dropped 25%. Some of it could be revolved around this thing.
Again, it's how people feel about what's going on. Obviously, the lay of the land here, and Neil feels strongly about something. Again, this misinformation that's out there, he doesn't want to be associated with it. Smart guy, obviously. It just depends on where you sit on the fence. For me, it's a health issue. It's got nothing to do with politics or anything like that. So I'm on the health and science end of things. As proven, as soon as these vaccines came out, man, you saw everything drop. And this whole thing that's happening now, I mean, sure, there are all these breakthrough cases that are happening, but if you've been vaccinated and boosted and all that wonderful stuff, you're not going to go down. All the people that are in this hospital basically are unvaccinated, and they're just perpetuating this thing. And so Neil himself, he's got a valid point. He can actually do something. It's a bit of a voice he has, and he's making a stand going, if this guy's going to talk all about this on your platform, I don't want to be involved in that. And same with, as you're saying, Joni Mitchell. And I'm sure we're going to hear people on the other side, and people are going to say this has got nothing to do with it. But Neil feels strong. Like
David Draymond. David Draymond is on the side of Spotify saying, good for you on standing your ground and, on Fifth Amendment, all that stuff. But then on the other hand, you've got Sebastian Bach, who's getting behind Neil Young. I mean, you're seeing a definite split in the music community right now.
This is my opinion. It's got nothing about the Fifth Amendment, freedom of speech, your rights, and this. That's wonderful. This is a health issue. That's all this is about. These anti-vaxxers and maskers and stuff, that's killer, but it's a health issue. People are getting sick, obviously, but you can't see what's happening. If you don't want to wear a mask, that's up to you. But don't cause the problem. Don't make it any worse. It sucks already. And that's what this is. And again, hey man, I love being able to talk to you. I love being able to talk about things. That's freedom of speech. I have an opinion. You have an opinion. People have opinions. And if someone's in a situation where they can make light of it and say, hey, this is why I'm doing this. This to me is wrong. That's his right. He can do that. You can't attack somebody for that. But at the same time, don't make things worse. Don't spread mis and false information. Do the right thing and get the right information and spread that. Not, Dr. Joe Rogan. He's not a doctor. He doesn't know. He's never been to medical school. People have done this properly and they've studied this. So again, I'm an advocate for science, and it's a health issue, man. I want to talk and speak. I want to say what I want to say. I want to hear what you want to say, but this is specifically a health issue we have.
Yep, absolutely, dude. You are seeing that distinct separation. I think you're going to continue seeing two very distinct groups within music that are going to sort of, I guess, not really be at odds with each other, but they're going to have different opinions on it.
Sure. And what were you saying about Ricky Rocket?
Ricky Rocket. It says, Joe is a very intelligent man, but he's wrong on this one. Got to side with the artist. We don't get what we deserve from Spotify anyway. That's Ricky Rocket replying to Sebastian Bach.
That's sorry to interrupt you. That's interesting too. It's not like Spotify is paying quote, the proper royalties. In essence, what they used to pay. You're getting a fraction of a penny.
You're getting a pittance. Yeah. Nothing. And they're making just like billions of dollars. So it's billion. It's unbelievable. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. I think that this is not something that's just going to go away overnight. I think that this is going to...
No. It's just like this bullshit is not going to go away overnight. I mean, it comes in waves. And again, if people would just, in my opinion, do the right thing, man, and this thing would have been gone a long time ago. And people wouldn't be dying. Maybe this new variant or whatever you want to call it would be here, but it wouldn't be as detrimental. It wouldn't be bugging up the health system. It wouldn't be bugging up everything. People would just get sick like a cold, and that would be it. You wouldn't have to go to the hospital, but it's these people who don't want to do it. And again, I sort of applaud Neil. Way to go. You've got a platform to do it. Take your stuff off there and tell why you're doing it.
Before we wrap things up, though, this was the Johnny. I just had Johnny Kelly. I was just talking to him from Typo Negative before we got hooked up with you.
Right.
And Typo Negative, obviously a band that you and I love, and we've talked about them many, many times. I brought up with Johnny about the possibility if they were ever to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or if not that it would ever happen, but
I would love to see that. But that whole scam of a deal is, they would never get even acknowledged.
Of course,
unfortunately.
But in the event it did happen, though, who would he like to see front the band for their induction to when they play?
Right. Or on a hypothetical.
Or if they were to ever have, like, say, for an example, a concert where they were going to pay tribute to Peter. I asked him who would he want to step in, and who do you think he would have said? Any ideas?
Wow, that's I don't know. Give me a couple seconds here. Someone who could front Typo, because no one can really capture that essence.
That's exactly right.
And that's a tough one too, man, because he was so damn unique in every aspect of a songwriting to his image, to who he was, to what he did. That was the big appeal to Typo Negative.
Absolutely.
Off the top of my head, dude, I can't think of anybody. I really can't. Lay it on me.
Ann Wilson.
Ann Wilson from Heart.
Yeah.
That was
when you think about it for a second, it's kind of cool.
Oh, there's nothing that's not cool about that.
Yeah.
It's odd. It's very odd. Was he goofing around, or was he being straight
I think
up?
he said definitely I'd want it to be a female, because any guy that got up there would just be trying to do Peter, he said. So he'd want a female, and he thought that Ann Wilson would be the one that he would choose. And that kind of took me by surprise, because
that is surprising, buddy.
I just can't see Ann singing Black Number One or I Don't Want to Be Me, but then again,
Jesus Christ looks like me, or Christian woman. I mean, the list goes on and on. Could you see her saying, "I want to make you come"? I mean, it's interesting.
It's like fucking the dead.
Yeah, right. All of the above.
But you know what? If you think about it for a second, though, there are some of those breakdowns would sound great with her singing.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, she can sing the alphabet or the dictionary, as people would say. Yes, it would be killer. And I would say this too: anybody who would hop into a typo band, that's not an easy task to achieve, to try and imitate this. Again, just the uniqueness of this guy. Can you think of anybody that kind of sounds like him in general that is out there or that has been out there?
I mean, there's a band, the Crash Test Dummies out of Canada.
Oh yeah, that guy had that low baritone sort of voice.
But that's the only one that comes to mind. But even him though, he didn't have this the spirit of Steve. You can't just be the voice,
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I mean. If someone, you're going to put it together again, if you go with a Quiet Riot, you got Jizzy Pearl and these guys. Again, there's a resemblance to Kevin DeBro. There's a vocal stylings of that or whoever. But with Typo, that's a pardon the pun, a tall order, as he was 6'7".
As always, don't forget, check out loadedradio.com for all your hard rock and metal news, as well as the 24-hour radio station where we have all our shows and everything, as well our podcasts like the one you're listening to right now, and tons more. And don't forget to download the Loaded Radio app at loadedradio.com or wherever you get your apps, because there's just so much cool stuff on that, and it's completely free, so you can't go wrong with that, right? Thanks again to Johnny Kelly for joining us for the first portion of the podcast, and as well to you for tuning in. And we'll talk to you again next week right here on the Loaded Radio podcast.
Loaded Radio.